doing? I think so. He's blinking.
Hi everyone, Tom Landau, and we're very lucky to have a speaker that really covers a wide gamut of topics on clean technology, energy, basically sustainable communities. And Neil is a part of our board of directors, as is Al Escobar. We have other board members which have added to the group and helped put together and plan, and that's Mark Goldstein, with South Carolina. He's an attorney, partner here, and this is a great venue, and we appreciate that he sets it up and lets us use it. We also have Al, as I told you, who's part of an organization, Gia Enterprise, and he's an entrepreneur excellence, par excellence, a professor, and we hope to have him speaking in a few months. Sure. We also have Gary Skirk, who helped with some of the planning and financial planning, CPA. Terry Roberts, grant writing specialist and fundraiser. David Austin, who has developed some of our websites, creativedetailwork.com, and Yuri Ops, where we have some of one of our websites hosted, and also they're helping to develop an online community. And get back down to the basics here. That Neil is a very experienced attorney, MBA, 2 decades of experience, track record, large company general counsel, strategic planning, business planning, legal counsel for senior management, international clientele, and corporate intellectual property, litigation, insurance, director and office responsibility, real estate and business law. Neil recently helped develop sustainability growth management and green development code, trying new development to mandatory solar, rainwater capture, green development, LEED standards to reduce global warming, energy consumption, carbon dioxide emission, and vehicle miles traveled for the city of Santa Fe, New Mexico.
County.
County. Santa Fe County.
Santa Fe County.
County. Where, by the way, my niece is there working in the area of farming, sustainable farming.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And she'll like our new plan.
He's benefiting from it. Freilich and Popowitz, where he's a partner, is leading.
It's Freilich and
Freilich and Popowitz.
Yeah.
Freilich and Popowitz is one of the leading land use, zoning, and planning firms in the nation, with experience representing over 250 cities, counties, major developers from San Diego to New York, Seattle to Miami, developing local and regional plans and regulations that control sprawl, prioritize new urbanist transit and traditional neighborhood development, create mixed-use infill, promote sustainability and green development, control oil and gas drilling, finance renewable energy and infrastructure, and link transportation and land use to reduce global warming, preserve agricultural, rural, and environmentally sensitive land. So, rather than play more, it's got quite a presentation. Enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. That was very nice. Well, okay. What we're going to talk about tonight is what we call the umbrella, we being Bob Freilich and myself, the umbrella of sustainability. And we're talking about smart growth, new urbanism, renewable energy, and green development in the 21st century. We've got actually about 70 slides, so I'm going to try to roll it along, guys. And,
It's a 10-minute meeting.
I'm sure there'll be questions along the way, but my preference would be, if you guys don't mind, is save them for the end. I'm happy to try to answer any questions. Okay, so this is based on an article that Bob and I wrote for the Urban Lawyer that came out last spring. It's called, the Umbrella of Sustainability. It was the lead article in the Urban Lawyer, which is a national journal put out by the American Bar Association. If anyone is interested afterwards in getting a copy of the article, I'm happy to, if you give me emails, I will send you links and you can get the article and read it at your leisure. It's surely an easy read, only 41 pages. Okay, so let's start with, well, what we all know and love. We all recognize this picture, and it is sprawl. There's some more. As you see, spread out, low rise, lots of roads. Why do we have this? Well, we live in an auto-centric environment. It's my favorite. I love this picture. They just went right over that top. They didn't even What do we mean by that? Well, you can see for yourself. We've got lots of roads, low rise, spaced out. Again, this is the environment we all live in and take for granted. Problem with this environment is it's extremely inefficient, not just for us individually, but for the governments that we live under. Less than 5% of the world's population lives in the United States. We consume 25% of the world's oil. 8.9 million barrels go into U.S. motor vehicles every day. So we look at global warming and everyone points their finger at us, and they're right. 82% of all trips in the U.S. are taken by car, and you can see why. If you live here, if you live here, and you want to go to the store, how are you going to get there? Is there any public transportation here? No. Are you going to walk all the way down here, and all the way out here, and all the way down here? You're going to walk 9 miles before you get to the first store. This is the environment we live in. We live in an auto-centric environment. You can't live here and not use a car. And Labor Bureau statistics show the average American uses 21% of its budget for transportation expenses. Most of which obviously are auto-related. That's more than the typical family spends on food, 3 times more than what the typical family spends on health care. And what are we getting for our money? This. Isn't that swell? Traffic, and more traffic. And the FHA, the Federal Highway Administration, expects congestion to grow 4-fold on our freeways and 2-fold on other roads over the next 20 years. So if you think it's bad now, guys, give it time. Then you're going to really know what we're talking about. So what is sprawl? Low-density development on the edges of cities and counties, poor planning, land consumption, auto-dependent, disregarding the surrounding environment, and lacking adequate public facilities. What are those? Schools, roads, stormwater management, parks, recreation, police, fire, etc. One of the worst things you can do is build out and then not have the public facilities that are necessary for modern life. Okay, so why is sprawl a conservative fiscal issue? As you can see, this is a quote from Bank of America, that leading liberal organization. Growth has helped fuel unparalleled economic and population boom, enabled millions to realize home ownership, but it's also created enormous costs, and unchecked sprawl has shifted from an engine of growth to a force that now threatens to inhibit growth and degrade the quality of life, and that's 15 years ago. National infrastructure deficiency. What are we talking about? We're talking about sewers, we're talking about bridges, we're talking about roads. According to the DOE, $3 trillion in infrastructure deficiencies. What are we talking about? The DOE says that the U.S. would have to spend $150 billion every year for the next 20 years to fix the problems in this country due to infrastructure. Is anyone planning on spending that money? Have you watched your Republican Congress lately? So now here's an example. In Idaho, Ada County, the road system. Ada County is the county in which Boise is located. This is actually very interesting. 20 years ago, Ada County spent approximately 50% of its tax money, 20 years ago. 20 years ago, Ada County spent about 95% of its tax money on building new roads. 10 years ago, they were able to spend about 50% of their money on new roads. Now, as you build new roads, obviously you have to maintain them going forward. So 10 years ago, 50% of the money went for new roads. Today, Ada County spends every single dollar it collects for transportation on maintaining existing roads. They have no ability to build a new road. They have 2,500 miles of road in Ada County, in heavily populated Idaho. And they have no ability to move forward. They're frozen in time until they get that, until they come up with a solution. And I don't have any idea what that solution is, because there's no money, and they're not raising taxes anytime soon. It's an old saying, in the darkest hours of World War II, 1940, and the British have been thrown out of Europe, and so the generals and the cabinet, they all head into 10 Downing, and they're down in the basement, and they're trying to figure out what to do, and Churchill walks in, and he's the new prime minister, and he walks in, and he looks at them all, and he says, "Gentlemen, we're out of money. Therefore, we shall have to think." This is happening all over the country. There is no money to spend on sprawl anymore. We're going to have to think of something new. So here's an example of the problem that we're having. You build a new city with a population of 10,000, and each residence pays in the equivalent of $12,000 to build the infrastructure, the roads they need, the sewers they need, the police, fire, whatever. Then a developer comes along, and he wants to build enough houses to double the population to 20,000. Well, you know, the typical builder, what does he say? I'm happy to build all this stuff, but, you know, from the builder's perspective, all those costs, fire, police, sewers, schools, those are community issues. I'm not responsible for those. So what does that mean? Well, the next 10,000 who come in, they only pay half. They're paying 6,000. They're leaving 6,000 for the original inhabitants to cover it. So they get you got an extra 10,000 people, you get an extra $12,000, and you get infrastructure to cover the rest. Then the third developer comes in. He adds another 10,000, but again, he's only paying his third. So A pays a third, B pays a third, C pays a third. Then developer D comes along. He adds another 10,000 people, and he pays his quarter, and A, B, and C each pay a quarter. But as you can see, A, who's been there the longest and is in the core part of the town, they're paying $25,000, even though they're only getting $12,000 worth of service that they require. B is paying 13, which is only 1,000 more than what A originally paid. C is paying 7, which is 5,000 less than what A had to pay originally, and is less than a third of what A's paying now. And then D, of course, is getting away for a mere $3,000. So each new developer comes in, and if they don't pay their way, that cost, of course, goes to the existing people. The existing properties have to bear the burden. So that's the kind of thing that sprawl causes, and that's the kind of thing you want to avoid. It's unfair to the older development.